go back and see it, then end up in the call next meeting and had to be refunded back. That's a violation of our agreement, Secretary of State contract, to use harbor funds for paying something else.
Does everybody count? You wanna look at the invoices and recess the meeting till tomorrow and approve the document? Whatever you wanna do.
That's fine, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, minimum, I'd like to, I mean, I don't need a picture, but I would like to see copies of the invoices.
We just send copies of it.
The problem is, I have a full-time job. Saturdays and Sundays is when I do my work. I can't get in the office over there and get them. I can't come in here at 2 o'clock and get them. I need them on Friday.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, period.
That's the same thing.
You know, it's just hard for us people that work full-time, and we love what we do. But on weekends, I do, this is what I do, at nights I do this, and I need the documentation available.
And we did, and we're willing to, we'll make our best effort to get those over here when we get the
I
rest
said
of
4 o'clock on Friday, 5 o'clock, I don't care what time on Friday, I mean, cause Friday night I come in and do it, or
Yeah,
Saturday morning.
but
So
we'll
it's
try,
okay.
going forward, we'll have all of the copies of the invoices made ready when we bring the AP doc and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, whatever time Friday, I mean, on the 2 o'clock deadline, we're all working, we all have keys to get in here, so whatever, just as long as they're here.
Alright, let's move on, we'll go ahead and recess this meeting till tomorrow. Tomorrow at 5:30, we'll come in, approve the document, that's what we have to do. Alright. Next on the agenda, public forum, agenda topics only. Anyone want to speak about anything on the agenda? Yes, sir, come on up.
Ron Thorpe. I passed out to a lot of people, and some of you council people, that the Biloxi Police Department gets new patrol cars. This is item 9A on the agenda for tonight. And I just wanted to read the little paragraph in pink. It'll only take 1 second. Police Chief Miller said the best part of getting the new cars is none of Biloxi citizens' tax dollars were spent to make these big purchases. We have a drug forfeiture account, and when we can, we have enough money there, we can buy what we need to buy without costing the taxpayer any money, Chief Miller said proudly. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, yes, come on up.
My name's Jared West. I live on 104 Felicity Street in B.C. Lewis with my dad, Charles West. And I walk my dog every day, every morning time, evening time. And we got a lot of problems around the neighborhood since they had a shooting back in July or
Jared, excuse me, this is for agenda items only.
Okay.
If you would, we can have, you'll be able to speak again in a little while, okay? Anyone else for agenda items only? Jared, you're gonna be able to speak in a few minutes.
My name is Joan Coleman, and I'd like to address the issue of the original invoices versus the copies. It's been several years now, I think Mr. Rafferty will agree, that even our courts accept copies of original documents. They don't always have to be the original. If they make a photocopy on a copier machine, it's got to look exactly like the original. I don't know why you have to insist on bringing the originals over here. You've been told repeatedly that it is safer from an auditing standpoint for the documents to remain in that office. And if you must see them in the original state, then you send an email and he will gladly scan them in. And all you have to do is open your email to look at it. The finance department is desperately trying to comply with what the auditors have found in the past. You guys keep bringing up this past payment and that past payment. I've heard Vincent's Uniforms for a year now complaining about the fact that it wasn't paid on time, and you've been told each time that it's because the invoice wasn't here to pay it. So I'm asking you to go forward instead of backward with all of these petty little issues on the docket that you keep complaining about. It's wasting time. It doesn't improve or accomplish anything. Copies are legal documents, and you can accept those, or you can accept the scan. Am I correct, Mr. Rafferty?
Well, there are certain situations where copies are not allowed, but that's if somebody has any proof of tampering. But
copies are admissible, yes.
Well, the implication is that there's tampering on these copies of invoices, and I think that's insulting.
If you were looking at some of the copies that we get where one page is covering another page, you'd feel a lot different. You don't have no idea what we're looking at.
That's an operations
You're hearing
issue
something from one side.
and
that's
not
this.
an original document.
We're not getting complete documents.
Also,
Well taken. We do look at a lot more documents than you do, Joan, and some of those documents have been tampered with, okay? It's on the record. I will tell you some of the
you
dates have
have
been
to
changed.
show proof of that, Lonnie. I don't believe somebody willfully tampered a document to
We're not gonna
confuse you.
stand here and argue all night about that.
Sorry.
Next,
All I'm asking is that you have
Yes, ma'am.
consideration of the employees that work
Right.
for this city, and the duplication or the
Thank you.
cover-up that you're talking about, that can happen.
Thank you
It's
for your-
because of the
thank you for
fee.
your comments, appreciate it.
You don't
Next.
hear it.
I'm not real familiar with this plan, and I'm not real familiar with the, city hall complex, how it's laid out or anything. Is there any place over there that is big enough to have a meeting, so you could have your meeting there, and they could just go get these originals, and they wouldn't have to leave the building? There's no facility over there big enough to hold them?
Just the full council, not
Just
the
the,
public.
not everybody in the public.
I'm willing to compromise. I mean, I'm like Doug, we'll get them on the weekend if they wanna leave them up in the.
Yeah,
If
and
you
all
wanna
of
leave them
this.
up in the conference room at City Hall and give us a key where we can come and look on the weekend, that's fine.
Yeah.
But just give us, unfettered access to them.
It
So we're
worked
asking for-
before, as you said. No, I just had one more question. Wasn't that part of the audit, that there were some problems with the invoices or something? Did I not read that?
No, you did read that.
Yes, I
You
thought
did
that was
read it.
part of your audit. So stick to your guns and get your originals if you feel that that's important. You're responsible legally for these finances.
Thank you. Anyone else, public forum, agenda items only, yes, sir, in the back.
Joe Eisenhower again, same address. I just had a question on the short-term rental office. I didn't catch exactly. Was this going to be passed on to another meeting of council, a special session or something? I didn't catch what you said. Do what?
I said that I'd discuss it with the council in executive session.
So I won't be allowed to attend?
Mr. Maneri, I said I'd address it with the council in executive session.
So you're right, I won't be allowed.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rappert, why does that have to be executive session?
Litigation?
And I'm giving you some legal advice, and I have a right to be able to do that in executive session.
Do we have a lawsuit, a pending lawsuit?
I'll be glad to discuss that in executive session.
You'll have to discuss it before we go in executive session, because we'll have to know. Are we going in for pending legal issues or a lawsuit? Or will we-
Pending legal advice and potential litigation.
All right, anyone else?
I didn't hear it.
Legal advice and
Potential
Potential
So you have
litigation.
potential litigation.
Right. Anyone else, public forum? Okay,
One minute. Thank you.
all right. We'll move on, next on the agenda, the new business, we have vetoes and objections.
Well, I put that on there, Mr. Capretta. I had, my first question was Mr. Rafferty. I know we don't have Councilman Reed here tonight, but
I think he wanted to be in on that.
yeah, on these vetoes, do we have a certain amount of time to accept, or I guess we're gonna accept them if we don't act?
But
But to override, do we have a certain amount of time?
No, sir. Statutorily, there is not a provision that says, once the mayor makes a veto, you have a certain period of time. I was mentioning before the city council meeting began, you can address that at any time. You can address it tonight, the next meeting, a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now. Whenever you want to bring it up, there is no set statutorily. There is if someone was going to appeal, which would be the public, that had the 10 days, if they wanted to appeal either the action of the council or the mayor vetoing it, and there's exactly a AG's opinion on that, that says the 10 days runs on that if somebody wanted to appeal that action. That's not what it is. Once the mayor vetoes it, that action's dead unless the council takes some further action. There's a couple, I know one in particular, there's going to be a suggestion made, but it's up to the council to either act accordingly or go forward.
Did you document?
I get some input, yes.
I'm not-
I follow, yes.
I'm not a forensic document examiner, but I mean, it's kinda, looks like your handwriting. It
It
looks
was
like
tight,
it
wasn't
looks
it?
like a brief,
It was tight, wasn't it?
exactly like your bills are.
You know?
And the letters we get from you, so I mean, it just appeared that you done it, I was curious to see how much time you put on it, how much do we expect to be charged for this?
I'm glad to go back and look at my bill, and it was a couple of hours.
2 hours?
It might be more than that, maybe 3.
2, couple, 3?
I guess my question is,
Yes.
Well-
I mean, you sitting at the meeting with us, and maybe you could bring this up as we, in the meeting here, so we don't have to go through this.
Well, that's why we made it clear.
Like that, and I mean, to go back over and look, while you know, seemed like if we made mistakes on motions or whatever, you could, you know. make
Councilman,
that
I was never
recommendation.
asked, until this came up on these issues. And then we addressed it, and we're trying to address it, as you can tell tonight, with the P and Z applications. Clarity is what's important here, we're gonna try to make sure we do that. That's all, that's what I was instructed and asked, requested to do.
And that's something else too, speaking with the performer audit group of, last week, we need contracts, for Mr. Rafferty, that spells out exactly what he's gonna do, who he's gonna do it for, what type of insurance we want, and anything over and above that he does, he'll have to have trial counsel approval. He's just not gonna be at someone's extra cost if he's under contract with the city. Anybody that contracts with us, from our prosecutor, public defender, and even our auditors, if they contract from us, we need a contract in place. And that's the only way you can regulate that. He could charge us $25 for this, we don't know. We didn't ask him to do it. The mayor's right to veto it, not to get an attorney to veto it, prepare all of this.
Well, she stated it real clear.
That's right. And I mean, if you're representing, are you representing the city, you representing the council, or you representing one person of this group against another one? You know what that would be.
Oh, that's.
On 107, that'd be a conflict of interest.
That would not be appropriate. I was asked to review the minutes, and that's what, I was asked to review the minutes, and that's what led to that. Yes, sir. I did exactly what I was instructed to do.
By the mayor.
Yes, sir. Chief Executive Officer.
Mr. Mayor, since Mr. Rafferty was appointed by you and ratified by this council, would you draw a contract on his duties as far as police, as recommended by this performer director?
And any subcontract is what the auditors
And
recommend.
any subcontract?
Anybody subcontracting from like a defense attorney, public defenders, anybody else we have, adding as a subcontractor, needs a contract in place.
Well, first of all, I should have probably been in that meeting. I don't know what the performer actually has. Tell them to get in touch with me and I'll do what I can.
No, you don't work for them, you work for us. I mean, the council needs a contract to pay.
Let me make a few comments. Let me make a few comments here, if I could, Mr. Cabrera. First and foremost, this is a constructive process, all right? Everything that we have suggested in these minutes is meant in the spirit of us working together, and it's meant to be a constructive effort that we're all going to participate in. I have told y'all the last few months that I'm going to change the way we do business, and I am. We're going to exercise all the rights that we have to participate, whether or not we've been asked to participate in the process of this council. And Mike, to your issue about why don't we review motions or actions or whatever before they're reduced to the minutes? That's one of the issues that we've been bringing up to y'all. That's one of the reasons that the statutes require that something be reduced to writing before y'all vote on it. And if we get a little bit better at what we're all doing together, if in these minutes, and really think back to the last few months, you know, there's a lot of motions that come out of conversation. And then it's the onus of your clerk to try to go back and glean from that conversation what the exact motion was. So none of us, including yourselves, know exactly how it's gonna appear in the minutes until she's done that. I'm suggesting that we do it differently. I'm suggesting if we've got something on the agenda, let's produce the resolution, let's produce the motion, let's produce the action in writing, and then you have that in front of you when you act upon motions and the actions and even some resolutions just come out of the conversation. So, and you'll see a lot of that reference in here. The motions come out sometimes differently in the minutes than I think your intentions were, honestly.
You should be getting right off the tape. The meetings are taped.
Well, but there's a lot of conversation, I don't think it's that easy. You know, I think the onus is on all of us, that if we really want, the public record to be clean and clear, then we need to have exactly what we want the record in front of us before a vote Thursday.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with you. I think that's a great point. I think what Michael's point is, and mine is also, that when we looked at these vetoes, and some of it may be vague, and we may need to correct it, just like we started putting the address on building P&Zs, and it states in there, and this is part of what came up with this lady, that we're not doing correctly. I think what my question is, and I think Michael's is, if we're sitting here and we're talking about something that we're not wording, I think Mr. Rafferty works for all of us, and he needs to say, well, wait a minute, you need to change this. We're not doing it now, and then we're reducing it to words, we expended it, and then he's gonna go back and review it again, and we're gonna be charged over again. I'm just saying, if we can correct it in the midst of the meeting, that's streamlined, don't you agree? But I think he should have some input that we're not doing this correctly, or we're not legalese, and then he needs to stop us and say, look, y'all need to do this differently. Not wait 15 days for it.
Well, I've heard him raise some reservations about things, and they're not all.
He does.
I often take
He
it
does.
with a whole lot of, take it with a grain of salt sometimes, but I think that, and honestly, you know, I think that, like I said, this entire process is gonna be very constructive. I know that I would be, much more willing to participate in the conversation about the rights and wrongs of motions and actions if we, you know, if we had everything in front of us prior to the meetings. That's one thing, that's one reason agendas are so important, that's one reason preparation is so important. And, I would ask Mr. Rafferty to prepare the language of the motions, if there's anything that really needs to be clarity to it, you know? I mean, even tonight, we're talking about the parking garage. You know, if y'all recall the meeting when that parking garage was suggested to be, transferred to the county, that wasn't even on the agenda that night. That came up in conversation within just a few minutes. There was a motion made to transfer the parking garage, a $2.7 million asset to the county. You know, no findings of facts, no reference to any real, reasons for doing that. And the motion has been out there since then. And if I had been reviewing it back then, sure, I probably would have suggested we do it differently. But that's a very important transaction that we did, and now we're trying to piece together behind the fact, or after the fact, everything that we should have done prior to. So if there was a suggestion that we transfer a piece of property like that, all the due diligence on the legal side on both ends should have been done prior to, and y'all's action would not have done until there was an MOU or a contract in front of you that you were willing to accept and authorize us to execute. So, and that's all it's there. And I think that we can do a better job of this going forward than we've done sometimes in the past.
Oh, we got a lot of improvements on that. I mean, we saw what the building department did a piece of property out there on the beach a while back. But Lisa just handed me something. Upon every vote taken by the council, the yeas and nays shall be recorded. Every motion, resolution, and ordinance shall be reduced to writing before the vote is taken.